It's really wonderful to be here in front of, I'm sure a sizable number of alumni are there and also other people who have come in. And first to start, right, my question is this, because I am always a why individual, right? I'm always a why person. In the sense, whenever people do anything, I always think or always wonder why they do what they do, right? And as Mr. Gopi was just telling, this is a Sunday morning, right? And when so many of you have logged in, I definitely have a huge respect for your time, right? I completely respect the kind of commitment what you all have, the kind of say the efforts what you have put in to be here, which means first thing, what I want you to ask is this: why you are here, right? So I'll be looking at the chat window more closely whenever I ask any questions. So use your chat window generously and use just one word to actually share with me, to tell me I'm here because, I mean, you don't have to type all these things, just one word to say why you're here, what got you here. Is it that, say, because a lot of people are going to come, so I'll also be part of it, or you're looking forward for something, what actually motivated you to be here? So I want to start with that why question, why you're here. So I'm looking at the chat window, please go ahead. Just a short answer should be very good. That's good. So motivational speaker. So some of you say like, oh, I am a motivational speaker, so speak like you would like to see how I speak. Okay, good. Maybe I may have to use my glasses. Right. Oh, in Torila, good. Every day is a learning process. Agree with you. I mean, you are looking forward for something wonderful, interesting. Being an entrepreneur, PSS 1 1986. Maybe you can also put your name if you are not logged in with your name. Right, topic by itself. Okay, you're looking forward for the topic. So I would like to get more answers because like good number of you are there. That gives me a very powerful insight on what is it you are looking forward and why you are here, what actually got you here. And to start with, what I'm going to tell you is this, because if you check, as I was talking about, so this is a session where I strongly believe you are here because you want to give the best to yourself. You all are agreeing with me? Yes?
Yes.
So you can key in, you can use your chat window. I want to see a lot of yes, saying yes, I'm here because I want to give the best to myself. And if you're completely convinced, go ahead, key in BM. I want to see a lot of BMs. BMs means best to myself. I want to give the best to myself. BM. BM means best to myself. And go ahead, say to yourself, I will give the best to myself. That's right. Say to yourself, I'll give the best to myself. That's right. Because this is something always motivates me. Many a times people used to ask me like, actually, what keeps you going? What keeps you like? I mean, I'm into this almost for the past 2 decades. And when I started, I was nowhere related to this. I was nowhere into, say, professional speaking or professionally running an organization. I was more working for various software organizations after my E&I. Then I did my MBA, both from Anamala University. And I was working for a software organization based out of Singapore, and then I wanted to start this company. Then I started this. So always people ask me, so what keeps you going, right? I mean, it's a long years. I mean, you've done books, you've trained people. So what keeps you going? So always I say this: the motivation with which people come in to feel I want to change, I want to give the best to myself. That's what actually motivates me. So when you say, when I see a lot of BMs, even one BM is enough for me to feel really on top, to put my best. So I'm going to put my best. So I expect the same from each and every one of you. Right? Is that fine? And also, one of the biggest challenge what this forum has given me was this. See, when we were discussing initially, maybe I was discussing primarily with Gopi, Haripriya. So primarily when we were discussing, they were so meticulous in planning, they were so meticulous in asking what are all going to be the say parts of your speech, how we are going to structure it, how we are going to deliver it. So it was like, right, really it was well structured way of delivering something. When they were actually asking me to structure the entire flow, structure the entire program, one thought came to me. They actually put forth, see, right now we are going through some challenge, right? You all are agreeing with me. I mean, it's one of the biggest challenge which we have ever seen, which we have ever experienced, which we can never even think of, right? When our Prime Minister went on the TV to announce we are going to have a lockdown for next 20 days, many of us thought it was really 20 days, right? And we never know, like it's going to be like years where we are going to experience something which is unprecedented. So what this has created, so they were actually, we're telling at this point of time, if we can actually deliver something or create something around this, it will be something really good. It is something what people are looking forward. So that is something what I'm going to focus on. And as an incentive, because you all have stepped in today morning so early, towards end of the session, I'm going to share with you ebook on 7 secrets of success and successful people, right? I'm going to share it with you. And more interestingly, you'll be the first set of people to receive it, right? I'll be sharing this with you towards end of the session. As we complete it, I'll give you the link where you can access the book in the chat window, right? And to start with, so my journey towards pursuit of being successful is definitely not started something very recently, even during my college days, right? I always used to wonder, how come there are only few set of people are like so greatly successful, right? I mean, in reality, is actually less than a percentage, less than 5% is what is a fact. What way they are different from us? Is it something they are made different? Is it something they have been gifted something very differently? Very quickly, I will brief you something what happened during my engineering days, because I am with my alumni, so I feel like really wonderful to share this. So I actually come from a school which is there in Anamlai Nagar, which is very close, what we normally call it as like Paris kind of stuff, right? So my school is there. So in our school, like, I mean, we never used to speak in English kind of thing. It's predominantly students from nearby places. So when we used to go there, and it's a different environment. From there, when I first entered into engineering, it was a very weird experience, right? I mean, students from all across the state, I mean, mostly from all Chennai kind of school. So I always used to look up to those kids because they can talk English, they feel so comfortable in English. So I always used to look up to them. And as we moved to the second year, right? So that was the time when I have been told that there is going to be a seminar class, right? I mean, some of you, if you remember, even today in all engineering colleges, that's a practice to have a seminar class. So they said you're going to have a seminar class, and I was not sure what was that. So then I went and checked with some of my own classmates, one senior or something. What is that? So he actually told me, where it is a session where students have to present something, right? You need to get onto the stage and you need to present something. And I was shocked because I never know students have to present something on the stage, because I was thinking only teachers are paid, right? Why should I do it? Like, this was a thought which actually came to me, but they said that's the way it is. And there are about like 93 students in E&I, and it goes in 2 students in a period kind of stuff. And when I calculated, my name starts with V. So is there advantage because of that? Oh, that's the day I felt really good, because whatever calculations you do, before my name comes, my semester will get over, right? So I don't have to be on stage. So I was like super happy. My calculation was like, when it comes to yes or something, so my seminar sessions will get over, and exactly that's what happened. Right? So I don't have to be on stage. My second semester is gone. and say the teacher who is in charge for it has to calculate based on some internal assessment marks, and then it passed on. When I came into the third semester, so the professor who was in charge for us was Dr. Ramamurthy, right? I even mentioned Dr. Ramamurthy in my very first book, Speak Through Your Interviews, because he created a huge impact for me. So he was in charge for the seminar sections, and what he did was this. In my class, it's going to be in the reverse alphabetical order. So I was like super shocked. So reverse alphabetical order, my name starts with me. So which means definitely I have to be on the stage, right? And no way I can. So I was telling some of my friends that I'm going to bunk that particular class. It's going to be too horrible, me failing on the stage kind of thing. And finally, I mean, it didn't happen. So I have to go to the class, and it was a disaster. Right? I mean, completely. I mean, some of you, I'm sure you should have experienced this, mind going blank, right? There are a lot of butterflies in the stomach, and your body heat is changing, all this, whatever you can name it, that has happened. But that moment was very defining, right? I went ahead to ask Dr. Ramamurthy that, I mean, this is not fair. What I did was not fair. Then he asked me what happened, right? Then he was explaining my story is no different. And he actually gifted me one book, right? And by name Ennanga. So that was one of the very first book I actually read in that space, which completely changed my world. And why I'm sharing this is because for each and every one of us, there is somewhere you have to start. Some incident actually starts it. So I'm going to start with similar experiences of others. What we think, okay, there are certain people who are actually gifted in some space. So I started exploring. So a lot of lives that gave me a lot of motivation for reading about human lives. So I'm going to start with some of those stories of all these set of people, right? So whether all these set of people or somebody inspires us day in and day out. Yes. So whenever I ask a question, please go ahead, use the chat window so that I know you're there, you're looking at what I'm sharing, and there is a connect for me, right? And so my question is this: how many of you on seeing these spaces feeling so inspired? If you feel yes, say I. I mean, I in the chat window. Say I, say I, say I. That's right. Say I. Say I, wonderful. Say I, right? I mean, all these people, time and again, have inspired us in many ways. I mean, some of them are personally so close to me, may or may not be familiar to you, but personally has inspired me. So I've actually got it. So my question to you is this: whether all these people use the same formula to be successful, yes or no? So only, I mean, you have to just type yes or no. Yes or no, what do you feel? I'll just see more yeses or more no's, then I know how you all feel. My question is this: how many of you feel they all use a same formula to be successful? No. Yes. Okay. Some more answers. I mean, I'll make it easy for you to key in. I'll not ask more than one word. Don't worry. Just the shortest possible thing you have to key in. Nothing more. Should be yes. Okay. Now I see more S's. Okay. And when you say yes, when you say no, why I'm sharing all these people's life is this: when you go closely analyze, when you go deeper into their life, I was starting with this question, right? I was starting with this question of whether they all use one single formula to be successful, primarily because by chance, if the answer is yes, what happens? It's not only I can use it, maybe I can make it as part of my training. Many people can use it. They can go ahead and experience it. They can go ahead and create some great difference in their life. So that was objective. And my understanding was this: where they all use one single formula to be successful, right? Before I step in further, let me ask you a few questions. The question is this: who is this person? Just one word. Who is this person? Some of you may be too obvious, or some of you may say it's too obvious question for me. Yeah, you have to key in. When I ask a question, please go ahead, key in. Key in your answers. Please share your answers in the chat window. My question is, who is this person? Yes. Edison, you're right. And just one answer, or some of you, all of you feel like, oh, it's too obvious an answer. Thomas Edison, right? So when you say Thomas Alva Edison, yeah, it's Thomas Alva Edison. Oh, there is also a, okay, clue please, scientist, correct? Okay, light bulb, the person who found light bulb, correct? That's the way we know him, right? He is the one who found the light bulb, because we know him from our school days, right? From your science books, you always see this picture sometimes to say he's the one who found the light bulb. I mean, if you go deeper into the slide, into his life, he's not just a scientist, he's also an entrepreneur, right? He's also somebody who was built an organization, who's also somebody, because if you go ahead check his life, what happened was this. Is it that he got the bulb on the first try? Say he started something and then he got something glowing? I'm sure you all know the answer is no, right? It's not something what he got straight something glowing, correct? And if you go read his life, what happened was this: almost 9,999 times he got something which he never wanted, right? And only on the 10,000th time he got the light bulb. And the entire world thought, I mean, is he a magician? Because he displayed it in JP Morgan's house, and many people visited to see how it is, and kind of thing. And there were a lot of questions to him. So one question which Thomas Alva Edison faced was this. The question was, Thomas Alva Edison, I came to know, this was from a press, right? I came to know you failed almost 9,999 times. Are you not feeling bad about it? So the answer what he gave redefined the definition of failure, right? What he told was this. He actually went ahead to say, I found 9,999 ways of how not to invent a bulb, right? So the definition what he gave is actually completely changed our perception towards, say, failure, towards a moment when you don't get a result what you really want. Or if you go ahead and check, say, what happened in the life of this person, who's whom? Any guesses, any clue, or any thoughts? Okay, I'll give you a clue. He is one of the ex-presidents of USA. Okay. Abraham Lincoln, right? And Abraham Lincoln, obviously, the name sounds like somebody big. He should have been somebody so lucky because he was a president of USA, right? I mean, somebody reaching president position is something very big. You go ahead, check what happened in his life, all these things, right? This is exactly how his life is. Say 24 failed in business, 26. I mean, I'm randomly reading out a few things. 26 lover died, defeated for nomination of Congress at 34, rejected for land officer, 45 defeated for US Senate, and 48 again defeated for US Senate. At 51 he was elected as a president of USA. And most of the people think he should be somebody who's so lucky, right? And it's not only this. If you go ahead check the life of this person, I mean, it's a little hard to maybe guess, but he's from Japan, right? I mean, this should be giving you a lot of clues. And he was a car mechanic. And when he was finding something to change in the engine, I mean, he decided to change something in the engine, piston of the engine, and which will increase the efficiency of the car, right? He went ahead with his idea to Toyota. And Toyota obviously rejected his idea because it was just a car mechanic, right? And he was not willing to give up. So he kept on meeting a lot of people, and finally he got an order from Toyota to make pilot parts, right? I mean, he wanted to create some trial units. And when he went ahead, built this, say, unit, a small unit, that was the time World War II was happening, and his factory was bombed. And he had a choice to give up, and he never gave up, right? He again wrote a lot of cycle company owners to gather a lot of funds. And again, he built a small factory, and he built it for the second time. That was an earthquake in Japan, right? And again, his factory was gone, and he was not willing to give up. And the third time, he decided to build his factory. And that time, what happened? Any guess? I said third time he built his factory, and that time what happened? Nothing happened, right? Life is not bad always, right? It was good for him the third time. So he was able to build a factory. He was able to be a supplier of Toyota. And some point of time, he asked the most powerful question in his life. Because I always believe the kind of questions what you ask defines the kind of answers what you get. I'll repeat it for you. The kind of questions what you ask defines the kind of answers what you will get. If you ask a lousy question, you will get a lousy answer. If you ask a powerful question, you will get a powerful answer. If you actually ask yourself, how come I'm able to maybe turn around things so fast, you'll get a powerful answer for this, right? So he asked a very powerful question. He asked, why don't I create my own cars, right? And then rest is history. So what he did was this: at some point of time, he was able to sell more number of cars than Toyota themselves, who's no one else but whom? I already saw a few right guesses, who's no one else but Honda, right? And it's not only this. I mean, if some of you are like really taken up or really excited about say Freshworks listing in Manchester, and if you read Greece, say whatever press meet in US, he was mentioning about Roger Bannister. How many of you noticed it? Girish Mathrabudan mentioned about Roger Bannister. Any of you noticed it? So he is this guy, right? Roger Bannister, right? And what Roger Bannister did was this. I'm talking about in 1950s, the entire world believed nobody in this world can cross a distance of 1 mile in less than 4 minutes time. And if you cross, what happened is this: you may not survive, right? That was believed to be a medical fact. I mean, that was in 1950s. And what happened was in 1955, 6th of May, this guy, Roger Bannister, crossed this distance of 1 mile in less than 4 minutes time. 3.59.4 minutes, he crossed the distance. And once he crossed, which is actually called as a miracle mile, right? once Roger Bannister crossed this distance, in the same year, what happened was this. Over 300 people crossed this distance. Over 300 people crossed this distance in the same year. Till that point of time when the entire world believed that this is not possible, the moment he did it, over 300 people did it. So if you check why I'm highlighting this right now is, if you check in the FreshBooks listing at FreshWorks listing at NASDAQ, Girish Mathrubootham, the CEO of FreshWorks, was actually talking about Roger Bannister. His thought was this: if one company gets listed, that will be followed by many Indian companies in NASDAQ. Right? This is something what he was sharing. So which was something so inspiring. And apart from it, just last in the list to share is actually our own ex-president, who is Dr. Abdul Kalam, because I had this opportunity to meet up with him for one of my books to take his blessings. He was supposed to also give the forward for that particular book, Be a Sham. And so when I actually met him, I asked him, if you need to give me one thing, one short thought, what will you actually share with me? That was my only question. So what he told was this: what differentiates people is how they handle tough situations, right? And following that, I just started seeing a lot of his videos. So with your permission, I would like to share a short video of Dr. Kalam, which personally has inspired me a lot. But before sharing this video, I would like to take concurrence from all of you, permission from all of you. It's going to be about 7+ minutes. It's between 7 to 8 minutes share. So if you allow me to share, I will go ahead to share that short video, because that particular video has inspired me so much. I've literally watched it many times. And if you check, I'll just give you a prelude of what that video includes. This was a speech which was delivered by Dr. Kalam in, say, in Glenn's, in Ambani's memorial lecture, right? And where Kalam specifically addresses entrepreneurs. If you are an entrepreneur, you must have to listen to this short portion of Kalam's speech. So I'm going to share that with you, which is ready, right? And allow me to share. Thanks for the permission, right? And I will go ahead and share this with you.
So the question is, since there are so many entrepreneurs here, particularly young entrepreneurs, I have repeated a number of times. I don't mind repeating that one incident. That incident for me is a university education. I have not read anywhere. I have so far, I have gone around the orbit 71 times around the sun. I have not gone through any education. Such a beautiful got in 1979, 1980 period. I thought of sharing on this occasion with the Rubai Ambani Memorial. Like this, 1979, August 17th, we were ready for launch of a satellite launch vehicle with 44 subsystems and thousands of components. It was built in Vikram Sarabhai Space Center, and at that time, Professor Satish Dhawan was the chairman of Atomic Energy Space Commission, and he is also Space Center. And he gave me the task in 1973 to build a satellite launch vehicle, to put a satellite in the orbit. 1973. In 79, we were ready. thousands of engineers, 10,000s of workers and staff. They all worked together. Then we moved the satellite launch vehicle from Vikram Sarabhai Space Center to the now Satish Dhawan Space Center at Sriharikota. The launch vehicle was a launch pad, and the day 17th August 1979, and I am the mission director, project director, and we all the control center and computer. So 8 minutes, computer will take over. It was very difficult for me as a mission director to check hundreds of parameters. So it has been checked computer. We hand over the whole launch of the rocket system to the computer. So when T-minus 8 minutes came, I handed over to the computer for the launch on 17th August 7, 1979. And thousands of people are waiting for the launch centers, and they are working throughout the country and some downrange stations. Exactly at T-minus 8 minutes, computer took. Then at T-minus 4 minutes, computer put a hold. It says don't launch. So we're all, because at that time, the whole rocket system alive, and every explosive system, propellant system, electronic system, all are on ready to launch. Computer says don't launch. At T-minus 4 minutes, then immediately a computer printout comes out. There's some problem in the second stage control system. So don't launch. There are a number of experts, 6-7 experts, my 10 years, 30 years experience people. I turn to them, and they are their computers to find out what happened, and they tell me within a minute. They say there's a problem in the second stage control system, and we cannot launch. Computer says, but we believe as experts, the ignite that is oxidized is sufficiently more there. Even though there's a leak engine system, you can launch. They asked me to launch. That is, I can say to the computer to shut off the computer. I can manually launch the rocket system. I discussed with my experts. I believed in them. I agreed with them. I'm responsible for it. I immediately put the rocket in manual mode. So rocket took off 100 seconds. Beautiful launch. And rocket first stage did its job. It's a 4-stage rocket system. Then the second stage took off within a minute, within a second, it got it to spin. That means it should be steady. It's a controlled rocket system by a guidance system. But it was going to spin. I knew I lost the rocket system. Within few seconds, instead of putting the satellite in the orbit, the whole system went to Bay of Bengal. So it was a failure. Then how do you handle a failure? It's very important for entrepreneurs. Life is not so simple. We have to handle the failures with stout heart. My chairman, that is the Professor Satish Dhawan, exactly 6:30, I was very tired of continuously working. He come to my room, you join me for a press conference. On that day, press conference morning, there's a press conference. Hundreds of press reporters, media people have assembled. Professor Dhawan told me, Satish Dhawan told me, I am going to handle the press conference. You are going to come with me. They asked a lot of questions. 20 crores in Bay of Bengal, they asked. So many serious questions. After all, people will ask questions, the people's money. So like that number of questions are there. And Satish Dhawan said, yes, it's a failure. First time we have launched, we have gained a lot of system, and definitely we will succeed. I'll give all the support my technologies. I'll give all the support to my scientists. We will succeed in a year's time, he said. Friends, did you observe what happened there? I am the mission director. I am the project director. I have failed the missions. With me, 5,000 people have worked. But chairman Indian Space Research Organization, the responsibility of failure, he completely switched my failure to his failure. exactly after 1 year, that is 18th July 1980, you go to the launch pad and the countdown starts. T-minus 8 minutes, I hand over to the computer. Computer checks out first stage is the rocket system. First stage required velocity. Second stage gives the required velocity. Third stage gives the required velocity. The fourth stage required the escape velocity for the put the satellite in the orbit. I'm seeing in front of me how what is taking place. I took the mic. I announce all the station. Here is your mission director. The satellite is in the orbit. And we congratulate you. I told them. That's one of the important things happened. Satish Dhawan called me. Go for press conference. You conduct the press conference, he said. Carry the significance. Failure, you took it. Success, he gave me. It's a great lesson.
Thanks. Moving on, so this is something, one of the very inspirational thoughts which I personally gained from Dr. Kalam, right? And I'm sure this should have had a great impact on you, because reason being, this has multiple things, right? Number one, thought one is this: if you are an entrepreneur, because this was a very specific thought for entrepreneurs. If you are an entrepreneur, how you must have to handle failures, right? How you have to go ahead and deal with failures. That was part one. And number two is this about a leadership lesson, which means if you are a leader and then if you experience failure, what happens? Failure comes to you, a win, something which you win goes to your team, right? I mean, that's what leadership is all about, right? Those are all some of the very powerful lessons which he has actually shared with a very live example. I think this is also part of his book, Wings of Fire, right? Maybe if some of you have already read it, seen this, it's great, right? But keep reminding yourself that these are all some of the very powerful lessons of leadership. With all these thoughts, why is it that I was putting a lot of efforts to share the lives of certain people, right? What was going actually deeper inside their life? Because there are always two layers in anybody's life: what people see from outside, what media's project, right? I mean, all these people are all across in media. What media project, what we see from outside, what we experience. I mean, all those people, you take, say, Tendulkar, you take Ambani, you take Dr. Kalam. I mean, anybody who has actually inspired us in some way, what you see from outside and what is there inside their life is very different, right? So with this, I was telling the kind of formula what they were using is very similar, right? Should I share with you that formula? Should I share with you the formula? Yes. Should I share with you the formula? Right. And if I go ahead, share with that formula with you, right? So my objective or one of my thought is this: you will go ahead, use it maybe in your own life, because it's not just business alone. You use it in your own life and also obviously in your business. So that was the objective. Definitely, I will share with you the formula, right? Moving on. So the first step, and what I always call it as the ultimate success formula. The first step of the ultimate success formula, though you have actually, I got it up on the screen already. The first step on the ultimate success formula is what? People who are successful, what they have. You already saw it on the screen. They all have the, yes? Yeah, you are right. They all have a goal. They all have, I mean, goal, not necessarily, or they have to write down, they have to say this is one, not exactly. they all have some clarity of future, right? They know this is where, I mean, you take the life of Bill Gates, right? His thought was every desk across the globe must have my software, right? I mean, that's a kind of thought, right? Or if you go check the life of Bill Clinton, when he used to go to the school, those days he used to go and tell the teacher that I'll be the president of the country, right? Similar to that, if you drill down back to their life, at a very young age, they got some clarity of this is what I want in my life. So the very first step is actually knowing what you want, right? And once you have, and that's what we call it as a goal. But goal sounds like a big word, right? Goal sounds like, well, many people don't connect much with that word. But goal is actually knowing where you want to go. And number two is this: once you have a goal, what do you think is the next step? Any guess? You have a goal, then what do you think is the next step? Please key in your answers. Not necessarily it has to be right, because I only asked you to guess. Okay, work for that goal. Plan. Some more answers. Strategies. Saran says strategy. Prepare. Strategy. Right. More answers. Yes. How to reach. Dream about it. That's right. Okay. Fine. It's actually this is actually strategy, right? I mean, how to do it? Because without the next step is, I mean, how to get that goal done. And once you have a strategy, then what is the next step? What do you think is the next step? Yes. Execution, plan is actually strategy, right? Break down to simple and complicate and implement, target, break it down, how to do it, right? It's primarily this taking action, right? And taking action, is it easy or difficult? Is it an easy step or a difficult step? How many of you feel it's easy? Say yes or no. It's easy or difficult? How many of you feel, yeah, it's easy? Yes, no. Difficult. Okay. Yes, no, no. Okay, good. So if you go ahead, shake, majority of people actually fall off here, right? See, you can set a goal, you can have a strategy, but taking action is one of the toughest steps. I always ask this simple question. How many of you know you have to do exercise every day? Say aye. How many of you know you have to do exercise every day? That was my question. And how many of you do exercise every day? Right? So that's action difference, right? So if you go ahead, share, action differentiates people largely. Taking action is one of the toughest steps. Fine. Once you take action, obviously you will get a result. And if you get a result, what do you want? It's actually called as a success. Right? If you don't get the result, what do you want? People treat the result in three ways. Number one is this: they call the result as a failure. And so whenever you define the result as a failure, so obviously you give up, you blame others, you give excuses, denial, complaint, all those things comes along. It's because it's a human mind. You don't have to check it. Back of the hand, you know, this is how the human mind works. Because I've seen human mind over years. I know this is exactly how it works. So when people call the result as a failure, right? When they define the result, watch my words carefully. When you define the words as a failure, it's your definition. As failure, then you actually give up, then you actually give excuses, blame, denial, and complain, right? All those things happens. And number two is this. What do you think is the number two category? First category is as they don't get the result, they immediately call it as a failure. Number two is they are a set of people who actually keep trying again and again. Right? When you keep trying means this: keep doing the same thing again and again, but expecting a different result, will you get what you want? Assuming you keep doing the same thing again and again, and will you get a different result? Not exactly, right? Because in the words of say Thomas Alva Edison, he calls it as heights of insanity, which means you keep doing the same thing again and again, but you expect a different result. And the third category of people are actually very different. So what they do, they are the one who actually say there are no failures, only feedback, change strategy, and take action. And how many times they go through this loop? Till the time they get what they want, right? Now what we are going to do is this, quickly, we are going to run through this whole thing again, but what we are going to do is we are going to go through a rapid learning process. I'm going to share with you only the slides. You are going to key in only the first letter of that particular, maybe the word, right? You don't have to key the entire word because I want your fingers to be very fast on your keyboards. Are you all ready? So I want to have it as like quick training session. Are you all ready? Yes, because always remember, as I told you, when you are here for a reason. When you are here for a purpose. I strongly respect the why behind your presence, right? Are you all ready? Okay, wonderful. Let us move on. What I think is the first step. It's enough if you just key in the very first letter. It's very much enough, right? So what is the first step? Yes, wonderful. It is the kind of goals what you have. Because why I'm repeating it is check yourself. I'm sure you may be having some goals, you may be having some thoughts, but it's an opportunity for you right now to relook at it. As we complete the session, I want you to definitely relook. Is it something what I can redo something, change something? Can I take this day where I have this time, maybe spend an hour to relook some of my goals? That is something what I want. That's why I'm actually going through it again. And step number 2 is what? Step number 2, you have a goal, then you have, yes, it's enough if you just key in the first letter of the word. That's right. It's actually the strategy. You have a strategy. And once you have a strategy, then what is the third step? That's right. Third step is actually action. And always remember, action is one of the toughest steps because action is controlled by your emotion. The kind of emotion what you go through defines the kind of action you take. Fear controls action. Your lethargy controls action. Laziness controls action. Procrastination controls action. Similar to that, motivation controls action. Your happiness controls action, right? So action is completely defined, completely controlled by the kind of emotions what you have. Somebody who learn how to control their emotions are masters of taking action, right? And then once you take action, then what do you think is the next step? You get that's right, wonderful. You are all a great audience. Wonderful. You're all great participants. It is about getting your result. By chance, you get the result what you want. It's called as what? That's when you call it as a success, but rarely it straight away happens. Agreeing with me? Very rare, right? I mean, it's not like straight away it happens. So most of the times you get a result which you don't want. So whenever you get a result which you don't want, you have 3 choices to react. You have a choice. Others are not defining anything. You are defining. I'm making my words very, very clear. I'm choosing my words here, right? The choices what you make, that individual make is what is important. You have 3 ways in which you can react. Number 1 is this, where you call the result as a failure. When you call the result as a failure, there's a pattern, right? I mean, human mind works this way. Then you give up, then you give excuses, blame others, denial, and then you always complain, right? That's one category, right? Category number two is this. What is category number two? They are the set of people who what? Who keep trying. They are the one who keep trying the same thing again and again. They just try. When you keep trying, what happens? This is definitely not keep trying till the time you succeed. It's not the try, right? It is like keep doing the same thing again and again. I mean, you won't get what you want. I mean, this is again a majority of people. That's why I have categorized it separately. And third category is what? Where they say it's not a failure. I mean, all those people whom we have seen is all the same, right? I mean, you take Thomas Alva Edison, you take Dr. Kalam, you take Abraham Lincoln, you take Fonda. I mean, it's all the same. They all experience something what socially we call it as a failure, right? But only thing is this, they never define that as a failure. Got it? They said, oh, it's not a failure. I have an opportunity to learn something. So which means I can call it as a feedback and change my strategy and take my action again, right? And how many times I have to go through this loop till the time I get what I want, right? And why I'm going through this right now, if you check, most of the entrepreneurs actually lack here, right? The moment you learn how to define a result, again, watch carefully, I'm not going to call it as a failure. A result which you don't want, that is the difference between an entrepreneur and the rest of the people. Because in entrepreneur's life, getting a result which you don't want is an everyday happening. You see day in and day out. Maybe you are unable to hire the right set of people. By the time you put the right set of people, market is down. By the time you put the market, everything is on track, and then your products are outdated. Then you have to update, and everything is in place. Then you need to ensure your funds are on, right? So many things which has to be handled well if we have to be an entrepreneur, right? And entrepreneurship is a mindset. The entrepreneurship is a mindset. Why I'm telling so, and where you can learn how to get that mindset, right? That is when I'm going to define you what I call it as the triangle of success or triangle of growth. When I say triangle, how many sides? I know it's a silly question, but still I would like to hear from you. When I say triangle, how many sides? Yes, I see one or two answers. More answers. Okay, wonderful. Wonderful. Now I get a lot of energy. Thanks for it. Even silly, obvious questions are interesting to ask. Right? A triangle has three sides. And definitely I want you to answer, because this triangle, what I'm going to share with you, has clarified me a lot of thoughts. Hopefully it will do the same to you, right? As you said, triangle has three sides, right? And in this triangle, one side represents knowledge, right? And if I ask you from what age you gather knowledge, right from our school, right? I mean, right from your, today we have all the pre-KG kind of stuff, but those days there were like LKG, or some of you might have even started from your standard one kind of thing, right? But right from that age, we started gathering a lot of knowledge. And interestingly, in our education system, We even gather knowledge which may or may not be relevant for us in future days, right? I mean, I'm sure I have asked this question to thousands of people, like how many of you today use what you have learned in your younger days or school ages? I mean, you know the answer, right? So if you go ahead, check, we learn a lot of things which may or may not be directly useful in what we do today when it comes to a profession, right? So knowledge, because of the education system, what we have enough and more. I'm sure I can take any topic. All of you should be having some thoughts about it. Say, I was just sharing something about Dr. Kalam. I'm sure all of you had a lot of thoughts about him, right? I mean, you should have heard his speech, or some of you should have maybe read his book. And I mean, that's the way we are growing up, right? Knowledge is enough and more. So one side of the triangle is knowledge. And I have never seen people suffering because of lack of knowledge, right? And number two side of this triangle is what? Is actually the, any guess? Is actually the skill. Whether all of us have enough skills in a specific area, right? Assuming you are professionally an engineer, assuming you are professionally a doctor, assuming you are professionally a business owner. I mean, my understanding of human life is this, because I mean, for me, my profession is dealing with human life, right? So at some point of time, my understanding is about a decade. You become an expert in whatever field you are in, right? Say, for example, a doctor, right? And if he completes 10 years in his profession, I'm sure he'll become an expert. Back of the hand, he knows a lot of things. Because skills are learned, skills are acquired by doing. You keep doing the same thing over a period of time, again and again, you become an expert in that. Correct? Obviously, you will be an expert in what you are because of repetition. Skills are learned, skills are acquired by doing. So interestingly, what happens is this: at some point of time, you have a lot of skills. You have more skills than what you actually require, right? That's when even tougher situations in work, you can actually handle it like this. Still, you feel you are outgrowing your work. How many of you have experienced this? There are times you feel you are outgrowing your work, which means your capabilities are far, far higher than your work. How many of you have felt that? See, I mean, there are many times you feel like, I mean, I know all these things in your work. I've done it 100 times, right? You don't even have to go physically check something, know what's happening. Just on the phone, you should be able to resolve a lot of things, kind of thing. Where you have acquired the skill because of repetition, because you will keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. I mean, it flows through you, right? It comes through you. So, which means there are two sides of the triangle I have defined. But interestingly, when it comes to being successful, when it comes to experiencing growth in life, there is a third side too, right? Many a times, the third side is not acknowledged or not recognized, right? And what do you think is the third side? I think I mentioned it somewhere. I told you somewhere, just a one word to define what do you think is the third side. Financial support, attitude as a question mark, right? Abdul says, is it attitude? Okay, anyone answers? Aptitude, okay. Kamal says aptitude. It's an opportunity, implementation, right? Competence, hard work, Ganesh says it's hard work, which defines the third side. So my understanding or something what I've actually realized is actually the mindset. The third side of this triangle is the mindset. Because when we are not realizing, when you don't realize this part of this triangle, what happens is this. Life looks like an equation of luck, right? When maybe how many of you have seen people, I mean, it's a tough question to hear, seeing people who are less knowledgeable than you, less skillful than you, but more successful than you. You got my question? How many of you have seen people in your life who are less knowledgeable than you, who are less skillful than you, but more successful than you by your definition? I'm sure all of us, that if we say no, I'm sure it's a denial. Why? I'm sure each and every one of us, I've seen myself, I'm sure all of us have seen, I've heard from hundreds of people, right? But many times, many people used to think maybe possibly the other person is very lucky, right? That's what I was telling. If you don't understand the mindset side, we tend to think it's because of luck. We tend to think it's because of stars which works for them, which I don't have. Maybe by birth, there is something wrong with me, right? Maybe I may have to check that. Maybe I have to check whenever I start something, this is not working out, right? So if you go ahead, check, if you don't understand this part, what happens is this, we always think it's something else which controls my life. And interestingly, we have a mechanism to build our knowledge. Our education system completely takes care. I will not come across, or I will not come across somebody who is less knowledgeable in the field where they are in, less knowledgeable in any area. I will give you any topic. I'm sure, including, I can say, launching a rocket. I'm sure you have some thoughts on it. Agree with me? Right? So I have not come across anyone who is less knowledgeable in any space, right? We have some thoughts because we are bombarded with a lot of knowledge. And similar to that, we have a lot of skill sets because we keep acquiring it every day. The biggest challenge is the mindset which we draw it ourselves. Who draws the third line? Because I know most of you can understand how a triangle works, because the area of the triangle is what the success in life is. If we draw the line, the third line, much closer to this particular point, then what happens? You draw it here, your success, what you experience in life is too small. And you draw it here, the success, what you experience is different. You draw it here, the success, what you experience in life is very different. And who is drawing this line? Who is responsible for drawing this line? It's you. And whether we want it or not, in real life, we don't have any ways to focus on this on day in and day out, right? Our education system is not doing this job to a great extent, right? Unless otherwise, maybe forums like this to some extent help us, right? We don't have a defined way of getting this mindset or getting this knowledge, being aware of where we are. Because I always say this, there are many times, I mean, I coach people who are in sports, right? So there are times I've been asked this question, are you a sports fan? Right? Then I actually answer this, sports is different. I don't teach people cricket. I don't teach people squash. I don't teach people say how to shoot, because I coach a shooter who represents a country. I coach the top cricketer of Bahrain, right? Kind of things I actually coached him. So if you go ahead, check where I coached him is the mindset. Because when it comes to, I mean, Tendulkar needs a coach. The best of the best in the world needs a coach. So when it comes to cricket, he's a god of cricket. That's what we respect, right? I mean, you take Dhoni, he's the best in best when it comes to cricket, but he needs a coach. So if we go ahead, check, mindset is something very different. That's when I get business owners who runs far bigger businesses than me comes to get coaching from me. Why? Because when it comes to coaching, So that's actually very different. So one of the things what I always recommend to is there has to be some structured acquisition of mindset for you, right? Maybe possibly some books, possibly some videos, possibly some particular way in which you actually do it. So with all these things, I'm going to share with you what I call it as 3 prime takeaways. I call this as the 3 a.m. formula. You know why I call this as the 3 a.m. formula? I wake you up 3 a.m. in the night and ask you, should be able to say, are you all ready? Yes, are you all ready? Because I strongly believe this will create a lot of impact on you. What I'm going to share shortly. Are you all ready? Okay, now I see a lot of his. Thanks for it. That keeps us going, right? So I'm going to share with you 3 powerful thoughts. It's not from me. Let me put a disclaimer on it. These thoughts are not from me because I come from the world of neuro-linguistic programming. I'm a certified NLP practitioner, right? I'm certified by Dr. Richard Bandler himself, the founder of NLP. This is from the world of NLP, right? NLP is the ultimate science when it comes to training the human mind, when it comes to shaping the human thoughts, right? So these are all presuppositions of NLP. I'm going to share with you those 3. And I call this as what? I call this as a 3 a.m. formula. I call you up because I'm going to get all your phone numbers. I call you up at 3 a.m. I ask you to say, you should be able to say, right? So that's a commitment what we have. Okay, ready? I'm going to share with you. So number 1 is this. There are no failures, only feedback. That's actually number 1, right? So whenever you hit something which you don't want, you have to say there are no failures, only feedback. Okay? And number 2 is this. For things to change, I must change first. For things to change, I must change first. And number 3 is this. Past is not equal to future. Past can be anything. Why I'm telling this is in the current situation, what we are going through, the intense amount of uncertainty, I feel this makes a lot of sense. Past may be anything. Past is not equal to future. But what we are going to do is this. I will bring up all of you on the screen because I think Zoom provides this option of having you all in the gallery. I'll request you. I have switched off my gallery, okay, so I can see all of you, but all your cameras are switched off. Maybe you have to shoot it, but if any of you can enable your camera, I'll be so privileged. You can mute it because there may be some noise around you, so you can please mute it. But if you can enable your camera, I'll be so happy for it. Because understand this, we are going to learn to do it because I completely believe in doing things. So we are going to do it. You all, is it all? More cameras on. More cameras on, please. Okay. I can see more. I can see some more friends of mine. Ishwar is there. Hi, Ishwar. Okay, fine. That is all. Start together because let us with action. Okay. So be comfortable, sit comfortable. So do what I do. Are you all ready? I said do what I do. Okay, more hands up. More hands up. So this okay, right, ready.
Mr. Rahul, please mute.
Do what I do. Okay. There are no failures, only feedback. There are only 2 people doing what I am doing. So all of us do it together. There are no failures, only feedback. And you also say, okay, there are no failures, only feedback. And number two, what I told is what? For things to change, I must change first. For things to change, I must change first. So if you think anything around me must have to change, maybe something in your family, something in your business, something around you must have to change. There is only one way, which is what? You have to change. Right? Things around you is never going to change till the time you decide to change. So for things to change, I must change first. For things to change, I must change first. And number three is what? Past is not equal to future. Past is not equal to future. Right? I mean, I assume past is here, future is here. Some of you wonder what I do. I assume past is in your back and future is in your front. Because for some people, it's different. Right? We represent time differently. So I assume past is in the back, future is in the front. Okay? Past is not equal to future. Future is in the front, right? So three things, quickly we will do it. So number one is what? There are no failures, only feedback. 3 times each, right? And then we'll start taking up some questions. There are no failures, only feedback. There are no failures, only feedback. There are no failures, only feedback. And number two is this. For things to change, I must change first. For things to change, I must change first. For things to change, I must change first. I mean, same true even for a family. Say, if you think, oh, my children have to change, they are not going to change till the time you change. Right? Same true for your business. If you think your business must have to change, you have to change first. Right? And number three is this. Past is not equal to future. I mean, your future can be completely different because it is a decision what you make right now. Right? Past is not equal to future. Past is not equal to future. Right? 3 things, 3 key takeaways. As I said, it's a 3 AM formula, which means anytime you must have to recall, because these things hit you hard. When you think, oh, life is so boring, you need to realize that past is not equal to future. Right? I mean, you just have to define your future differently. So that's when future changes.